So I think there is certainly need and time for the discuss it a little bit. And Nicholas escaped the podium already, but okay. Take your seat. We find you. So, are there any questions about Nicholas was saying? I found it very lovely. It starts very simple. I think, okay, een thought that is simple. That can we do. And then he starts to underline what we should prepare and how we should take it. And then, of course, I think, I need a little bit more time to prepare it, because I think it sounds very simple, it still is. But then you have to clear up your motivations, you have to do this and you have to do that. You're absolutely right, but it is something. Okay, who wants to ask or say something about this?
Nicholas, Joke also showed the sevenfold composition. Where can you place vows?
You mean among the 7 principles?
Yes.
Well, I guess it would be somewhere under karma, probably aspiration. Aspiration and will would be in there, I suppose. But on the other hand, it depends on how you look at it. From below, it's karma. But since as Proclus says, the intent of the higher nature is redemptive anyway, we come into incarnation, even though we're not aware of it, for beneficent, uplifting purposes. You could always argue that it comes from Atma itself, or Buddhi, some much higher principle that the seed is there. So it's probably a cooperative effort between our aspirational nature and our real nature.
Thank you.
I didn't ask for this microphone, but I'm glad to have it. Thank you, Nicholas. Really, thank you for we tried to make a deeper study of the Paramitas, and you gave us all the material to make that more than enough. No, it's more than enough to start with, really. Thank you.
Someone else? Can you speak in the microphone?
As just a beginner of the path, if you hear this way of speaking of the Paramitas in the path, you might become discouraged. But if you start by just desiring to want to get like that,
can you speak in the mic, please?
If you just can have some circumstance give you the desire to want to get compassion, to want to gain, engender compassion, all the rest of it, the desire to do all the rest of it will come to you. So now is the time to begin, even if you're my age.
Age is not important. We are infinite. Do you want to comment on that, Nicholas? No?
I agree.
You agree. Good, good. Other remarks? Well, maybe a personal question. Finding this literature is already something. Finding time to study it is another thing. I think your presentation was marvelous. I'd like to ask you an electronic copy and a permission to translate it in Dutch for our magazine.
After I revised and expanded a little.
Just a little. Of course, we cannot wait.
I tell you, if you want to focus those bottom 2 texts,
Yes?
just focus on those 2. Start out. If you know what you're.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you really want to know about the Paramitas,
Mm-hmm.
okay, but those 2 are really give you the basics.
Okay, myself, I'm acquainted with all this type of people, but I found the amount of commentaries and, let's say, documentation around it so tremendous that it was always the question, what are the good ones? Which ones should I read and how should I read it?
Well, there are so many fine texts from the Tibetan tradition, Shantideva. You can't go wrong with studying his work, and they're literally scores.
No.
That's why I say just go by what your heart calls. You say, when you're reading one, this sounds wonderful, then study, practice it.
Okay.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah. Good.
Nicholas, there was one thought in your lecture that made me think. When we study the last time, last period or last moments of someone's life in the teachings of reincarnation, it is a very special last thought. And now you talked about the Buddhist ideas of the last thoughts of someone's life. And that I like to hear more about that. Is that possible?
They weren't really saying that they wanted you to call to mind your vows, because if the vows were genuine, they were there. They're implanted in your mind stream. You can, if you feel as this is all new to you in this life, that probably then it is fairly new. So at that time, the one-liner about, I vow to save all beings, take them to Buddhahood, you can repeat that over and over. Something simple like that. Or, like the Pure Landers, you can vow to go to Amitabha's Pure Land, Devachan, where you will be inspired in the next life to continue. One thing I'll throw in I forgot to mention is the seventh paramita of HPVs, Viraga. I've never been able to find it as part of a paramita. Hold on, Kenny. But I do know that it is used in the Theravadan teachings. It's a synonym for nirvana, which is curious. And the way it's phrased in the voice, something about leading to full truth or something. So it's a bit of a puzzle, but you can see that the notion of renunciation or equanimity is all through Buddhism, both Mahayana. So it could easily be in there.
Oh. I was going to ask you one question, just which was the Pali or Sanskrit for Nagarjuna's seventh paramita, compassion? Do you know? Or shall I?
Sanskrit. It was
Karuna? No?
Oh, the term?
Yeah.
That I don't know.
I was just
Probably
curious.
Karuna, but you'd have to go and look at either Hopkins or somebody who breaks it down term by term. But it's translated in both the Chinese tradition and the Tibetan as compassion. So
Yeah, I was just going to strongly suggest the Way of the Bodhisattva by Shantideva is the probably preeminent text, at least used amongst Tibetan Buddhists, to talk about the Paramitas and the way of compassion.
Give the name again, please.
The Way of the Bodhisattva, Bodhicharya Avatar.
also called A Guide to the Bodhisattva Path. There's
Yeah.
several versions out there that are all wonderful.
Actually, there was a French translation that H.A. Fassel translated part of in the Theosophical Path in the late 1920s. One of the earlier, actually one of the earliest translations into English, interestingly. Yeah. I don't have the exact reference, but the Vairaga, the Paramita that HPB adds, and also she clearly adds it curiously. So in the actually, seemingly we've read past this. I've probably read it 100 times, and all of a sudden I noticed in the Voice of the Silence she says there are 6 paramitas, and then she lists 7. It's right in the text. So where did this come from?
Also in
But the
In her collected writings, she mentions the Paramitas a few times, and it's 6.
Yeah, but the Vairaga is in the Vajrayana tantric vows. It's a longer list. I think there are 30-some that a Lama pointed this. I asked him once, and this was quite interesting to me, and a very crucial vow in that tradition.
This may be getting into the Buddhist weeds a little bit. It's not just Kenny and I, but actually the term used by HPB is the Pali version. It's Vairaga in Sanskrit, but Viraj, which is the Pali version, she sticks it in there also. So there are other hints that the master's form of Buddhism is unusual.
Okay. Good. Yeah, it is a little bit, how do you say that, offline to speak about food now? Physical food. We need 5 to 10 minutes to prepare it.